and welcome to another edition of Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee. Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee is a variety talk show that will entertain, inspire, and educate our city, featuring DMV's professionals in dance, makeup artistry, pageantry, modeling, vocalists, sports, radio and television hosts, and drag performances. I'm here to celebrate life through diversity and entertainment, and what America needs is diversity and entertainment. My guests I'm having on my show tonight have a disease, and I want to know more about it, and is there a cure? So without further ado, we're going to get this show started tonight. Let's welcome my first guest, Tamika Felder. Hi, Tamika. Hi, Tamika. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. But before we get started with Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee, girl, you got to spill the tea. Can I have some tea for Tamika?
Well, thank you, beautiful.
All right.
I threw all the tea out.
You threw all the tea. Well, let our viewers know what your tea is all about, okay? So we're going to get down to business. Who is Tamika?
Tamika is a little black girl from South Carolina who had many hopes, wishes, and dreams. I always wanted to work in television. I moved to the Washington, D.C. metro area in 1997. Very successful television career. At 25, I had interviewed so many celebrities. Then one day, cancer came into my life, stopped it, changed it, and my life changed as I knew it. But then somehow, by the grace of God, my family support, my friends, just my entire support network, I rebuilt my life, and now I'm living my best life after my cancer.
Oh, okay.
That's who I am in a short nutshell.
I heard that. But speaking of cancer, our show topic is today is I'm living with it, and is there a cure? So you were stating cancer. What type of cancer did you come in contact with?
My cancer is cervical cancer, a cancer that has been in the news lately, but when I was diagnosed back in 2001, nobody was talking about it. No one. So when I was diagnosed, I thought I was a leper. Why? And this is where the spilling of the tea comes in.
Okay, spill
when
it,
you
girl.
Talk about this cancer, you're putting all your business out there.
Right.
Because cervical cancer is caused by HPV.
And what is HPV?
It's the human papilloma virus. It's an the actually most common sexually transmitted virus out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's more than 100 strains, but there's some strains that cause cervical cancer. And I somehow got HPV. It wasn't diagnosed because I was uninsured, wasn't going to the doctor. Then when I finally went to the doctor, it was cancer. Okay. So I didn't want to talk about cancer. It was very embarrassing, really devastating, because who wants to go out there and say, oh, look at me, I had an STD, especially when you're single and you're trying to date. And I just didn't want to do that. So I tried to go back to work, try to have that fabulous career that I had, continue to be a social butterfly and not think about cancer. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, I couldn't do it. I thought if there are other people out there feeling the way that I'm feeling, I just want to make sure that they have an outlet to talk about this. And so out of that, my nonprofit, Tamika and Friends, was born. And it's really a way for women to come together, to talk about this, to know that they're not alone. But it's also a place where we prevent cervical cancer and educate about HPV because it's extremely common.
Yeah, I was looking online and I've noticed that you do have an organization that you started. So how would one find out more information about that, or how they come in contact with your group that you have? There's a website or any information that you can provide?
Yeah, it's a website and it's very easy. It's long, so I'll take my time to spell it out. It's Tamika, Tamika, and Friends, A-N-D, friendswithans.org. And we're also on Twitter. Our handle is T and Her Friends, F-R-E-N-Z. We're on Facebook. We're on all the social media networking sites. And we're really about the warmth. If you go on the website, as you've seen, the orange colors, and it's not a place to go if you want to die.
Oh, okay.
It's about living. It's about you have cancer. Let's pick up the pieces and live what, if it is the end, live the best life that you have until the end comes. But if it's something that you can live beyond, let us help you rebuild the pieces. We each have two shoulders, so that's a lot of shoulders for people to lean on.
And there you have it, guys. You can go to Tamika's website and find out more information. We also scrolled at the bottom of our screen here, giving more information about Tamika. What is your goal as far as letting viewers in America know about, what is what is your strategy, or what are your main focus point that you want people to know about?
I mean, just coming here and saying it to you, saying in front of your studio audience, saying it out loud that I'm a girl, I got HPV, it turned into cancer, but because of it, you know, at 25, I lost my fertility. So I will never be able to have a child because of it. I want people to know that it's preventable. You don't have to lose your life. You don't have to lose your fertility. But even more so, you are not your cancer or that STD. I'm a human being. I think people automatically think that you must have been sleeping around, doing God knows what to get it. And they say, oh, well, that cervical cancer, it's caused by an STD. That's something that you brought on yourself. Mm-hmm. That's not the case. You know, STDs happen to good people. Yes. It just happens. So I think I want to be a voice and to let people know that it happens. I'm not a bad person. It happened, and I can live beyond it.
And I applaud you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You also work with DCTV.
I do.
And you did a story on me and my drag bingo
at
Nellis Sports Bar.
Which is still one of my favorite things of all time. And if you have not done it, you need to go and do it. You need to go and do it.
But I want to thank you so much for coming and letting me be a part of what you are doing in your television career as well. And I felt that by you doing that for me, I needed to do something to give back to you as well.
And I appreciate it.
And before you leave, one thing that you most admire about Shi Queeta Lee?
Your openness. You light up a room. When I first met you, I knew that there was something special about you. And I love that you are so giving and so open. And even when you are threading and thrashing people at Drag Bingo, there's a side of you when it comes to seriousness. I've seen you take all the tips you get and give them to charity when people come in. And I just think you're a wonderful human being. And that's what it's all about. You know, you can have everything else, but it's really what's inside that matters. And you definitely have that heart.
Well, thank you so much. And now for you viewers out there today, this is Tamika Felder. I want to thank her so much for coming out, being a part of Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee. And if there's any more information that you would like to receive from Tamika, or go to her website, and she'll be more than happy to help you out or get in contact with Tamika and friends. Thank you so much for being here today. This is Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee. Let's give it up for Miss Tamika.
Thank you, Shi Queeta.
We are ready for our next guest this evening. Let's have a warm welcome and applause for the one and only Ryan Dillon. Well, thank you so much for coming to Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee. Before we get started, I'd like for you to spill some tea. Can I have some tea for Ryan, please? Wow, you done spilled the tea, and now you're all perspiring on the arms and everything. So, who is Ryan?
Ryan is a small-town Missouri boy who moved to D.C. 4.5 years ago to follow my dream and work on Capitol Hill.
Okay, work on Capitol Hill. What do you do on Capitol Hill, if you don't mind us asking?
I work for a member of Congress.
Okay. So today's show we are talking about I'm living with it, is there a cure? Now, you have a disease that so many Americans come across with or contact with. It's called epilepsy. So, is epilepsy something you're born with, or something that accumulates over time?
Well, there's quite a few causes. There's not one known cause for epilepsy, and it's not contagious, contrary to belief. Epilepsy affects more than 3 million Americans. 1 in 10 Americans in their lifetime will have a seizure, and a seizure can happen to anyone at any time, anywhere. So, there's not really a root cause, but there are things that are known to lead to epilepsy, such as a traumatic brain injury, a head injury. I had my first seizure when I was 6 months old, so I've lived with it my entire life, but it can develop at any time. The growing population is in older Americans because of other conditions such as Alzheimer's, but there's also a new constituency of people developing epilepsy, and that's our soldiers. Because of traumatic brain injury, because of the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. So there's a growing population in veterans.
Okay. Now, is there a cure for epilepsy?
There is not a cure, no.
Okay.
There are ways to prevent seizures through medication, a special diet, or brain surgery, but there's not a cure.
Okay. And also, you speaking with Tamika earlier about bingo, where she did a thing, but you have come to my bingo and you have come to me and asked me, well, Shi Queeta, would you do a fundraiser for my walk for epilepsy, which is coming up soon, but we won't talk about the date because of, timing. You had a wonderful story we was blessed with that night. Share with our viewers so they can feel the same way that I felt when you told me that story.
Sure. A seizure can be a very scary thing, and one of my missions is to promote seizure first aid, but also raise awareness. I had a 5-minute seizure in 2008, July of 2008, and I was walking out my front door of my apartment, and I had about 2 seconds notice. My body went stiff and I fell. Luckily my roommate was home and was able to help, but not everyone is as lucky. And after that seizure, I really reflected on what can I do to make a difference. I'm living with epilepsy. I had never really spoken about it because there are so many negative connotations associated with it. And so, growing up, there's a hesitancy to talk about a condition that you may have for fear of being made fun of or pressure or being secluded. So it wasn't until I was 24 that I actually really spoke about it. I had the option of not doing anything or doing something, and so I chose to speak up and speak out. And now I travel the country speaking to young kids and letting them know that it's okay. I mean, you have epilepsy, embrace it. You can live a normal life, you can do normal things. There may be a few restrictions, but you can still be a normal person.
Okay. Now, you have a website, or there's a website people can go to learn about epilepsy, that really people who don't know about, how to get tested or treated for it, or what are some of the symptoms? Is it a website that people can go to find out?
All the work that I do is affiliated through the Epilepsy Foundation, and their website is epilepsyfoundation.org. And you can go there and learn about epilepsy. You can learn about seizure first aid. You can, if you have epilepsy, you can look up an affiliate that's in your area, and they'll provide you with services in your area. The website is a host of information to better acclimate somebody with epilepsy.
Okay, very good. Also, for my viewers and my guests in the audience today, Ryan has a website that he's ready to do a walk for epilepsy that's going to be held here in the nation's capital coming up very soon. And you can go to his website, even if you can't be able to go to the march or be able to walk, you can still help and donate. So what is that website that people can go to donate to your cause?
Yeah, the website is walkforepilepsy.org, and you can do a participant search. You can search my name, it's Ryan Dillon, and it has my story there. It has information about epilepsy, seizure first aid, and a way to participate in the walk.
And also, Ryan used to work with me at one of my locations that I used to work at, Nelly's Sports Bar. And he had an attack one night there as working, which was alarm to a lot of people in our work establishment that didn't know that he was living with this type of disease or what to do on the next step. So is there something that people can do when someone go into a seizure attack that can help and tell the paramedics, or
sure.
Legal help can help you out?
Absolutely. The first thing you can do is not restrain the body, because if you try and restrain the body as a seizure is happening, the body is going to fight harder to have that seizure, and that can be sometimes fatal. The other option is to make sure that they're on their side, that nothing is around them, so nothing can fall if their body should hit it. You should call 911 if it's their first seizure. Now, sometimes you won't have that access to information, but to err on the side of caution, you should call 911, time the seizure, and just make sure that their body is stable where it's at. And you mentioned the seizure at Nelly's Sports Bar, and it was almost a year ago, and it was the first time in my life where I've been able to see one of my own seizures because it was caught on camera. And so it was a very disturbing image for me to actually see myself having a seizure, because I have no warning. I have grand mal seizures. There's all sorts of different kinds, and as soon as I have a seizure, that's my last memory. Usually waking up at the hospital is my next memory. So it was a very eye-opening experience for me to be able to visibly see one of my own seizures.
Well, Ryan, I want to thank you so much for coming to Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee. I have learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure my guests and my viewers have learned a lot about seizures, what we didn't know. And you coming here and spilling the tea and letting us know, I think it has enlightened and opened a lot of eyes to different people. So we don't look at you no differently than we look at anyone else. So before you leave, one thing you most admire about Shi Queeta Lee?
The pink heels.
You lied. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for being a guest today. Okay, I just finished talking with Ryan, living with epilepsy, and he has inspired and shared a lot of information for all of us, including myself. So we're going to keep the show moving right along. Let's welcome my next guest, Miss Diamond Alexis Blue. Hi, Diamond. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming to Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee. And before we get started, we'd like for you to spill some tea. So can we have some tea for Diamond, please?
Bless your heart, sweetheart. Thank you. Ding, ding, ding. I always can get her.
Okay. So, who is Diamond Blue?
Well, Diamond Blue is a native Washingtonian. She's 31. Got her career started in 2000 thanks to you and her drag mother, Alley Cat Blue. And in 2004, it kind of came to a screeching halt due to my disease.
And share with our viewers, what disease are you living with?
Glaucoma. And I'm with 95% of Americans who live with this particular version of glaucoma.
Okay, and what causes glaucoma to you?
What my doctors have told me is hereditary. But for me, on my mother's side of the family, no one had it. On my father's side of the family, I'm still searching through the bunch of people to find out who may have had this.
Okay, for my viewers and my audience here today, to let you guys know that Diamond Blue is a female impersonator who lives here in the Washington, D.C. area, and she started out several years ago, and then she stumbled upon the disease of glaucoma, and which hindered her career for a few years. But lately, she has come back to the scene, struggling and fighting her disease and still being able to do what she was doing all the time. So, by you being a female impersonator, how has it affected your life?
Well, being on stage is a little hard to go out and collect the tips from the audience. Painting my face is a little struggle, but with the right...
Well, you look good today, girl.
Thank you, thank you. With the right light and the right mirror, I can pretty much, you know, run into a brick wall and put this on. And I'm silly, but okay, anyway. Other than that, with the help of my friends and family on the show, they make sure I don't fall down the steps or trip over anybody or walk into anybody. But all in all, I can pretty much see once my eye gets adjusted to the light that's in the club or outside or wherever I'm going. So it's pretty easy for me.
So where can someone come and visit you or see your performances?
They can come see me at Remington's at 639 Pennsylvania Avenue Southeast in Washington, D.C. on Sundays at 8 o'clock. And you can catch myself and the Vixens.
Okay. Also, several years ago, I used to have stage plays and I used to give shows. Well, I still do, but it was at a club called the Cordovez, and I wanted to broaden the horizons of several drag queens of going to the next level. And I would do, instead of just going to the clubs doing drag shows, I thought about doing stage play productions and taking movies of our favorite movies and putting them into a play format of men playing the women role and women playing the men roles. And two of my favorite plays was The Color Purple Twisted, which is a spinoff of The Color Purple. And Diamond played one of the characters, and she played it so well. She did it about 4 or 5 times with me. And you played the role of Nettie in The Color Purple. And also, even though Steel Magnolias is a white cast, Diamond played one of the white cast members, and she played the part. Remember that, Diamond?
Yes, I do.
You didn't see it, girl. Shut up.
I know. I thought in my mind.
So, I noticed now you have a full-time job or a daytime job that you do with your blindness, or you work at a center for the blind or something like that?
I used to work at Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind. Due to the economy, I had to be let go, but I was working there with other people like me who were either completely blind or legally blind or different versions of blindness such as RP and some other ailments. But I still work with them on a volunteer basis as of now until things get a little bit better with the economy. I may go back.
Okay. Before we leave today, one thing you most admire about Shi Queeta Lee?
One thing I most admire about Shi Queeta, you gave me my first chance. That was back in June of 2000 on a Wednesday night. I don't know if you remember that or not.
No, I don't.
But it was at the Mill, and it was a battle show, and I was going up against my sister Sabrina. And Queeta gave me my first chance, and ever since then I've been bitten, and I've had fun ever since. And I want to thank you so much.
And thank you. Thank you so much for coming and spilling the tea with Shi Queeta Lee. Is there any information that you want to give our viewers audience to how they can keep in contact with Diamond or for show bookings or?
Sure, you can always visit me at Facebook, Diamond Alexis Blue. I'm there, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, and there you have it, guys. This is Diamond Alexis Blue, female impersonator at its best, and she's living and fighting the disease of being legally blind of glaucoma. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we want to thank you so much for coming. You have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow, we just finished talking with the extraordinary Miss Diamond Alexis Blue, female impersonation at its best. So that just goes to show, even though you have a handicap, you can still do what you want to do as far as performing and following your dreams. Speaking of following dreams, let's welcome our next guest, Justin B. Terry-Smith. Hi, Justin. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm blessed. Welcome to Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee. Before we get started, I want you to spill some tea. Can I have some tea for Justin? Wow. Bottoms up. Okay, who is Justin?
Justin is a strong, sassy, but stubborn young man from Silver Spring, Maryland, 31 years old, lives in Laurel, Maryland, has a beautiful husband, and went to the military in '99, got out in 2003 honorably, and then in 2005 discovered that he was infected with the HIV virus.
Okay. So our show topic today is living with it, is there a cure? And I noticed that you said living with HIV. So tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, about HIV. Well, it's a really rough disease. Basically, when I found out that I was HIV positive, I can only speak from my experience, but I was devastated. The first thought I thought was that I was not going to be able to have children, and that killed me. That really killed me. And then the second thought is, what are my parents going to think? Because they taught me to be very responsible and, with a good upbringing. And then I thought I was going to die. But in 2008, I went on medication. My viral load had spun out of control. Viral load is basically how much of the virus is in your body. And my T cell count went down to 290. And the typical person without HIV has about 1,000 count of CD4. But when you have HIV, those helper cells are killed off by the virus, and they actually help your immune system fight off diseases. If your T cell count goes below 200, you have an AIDS diagnosis. So I had to go on medication, and then I thought I was doing some research, and I couldn't find anybody really doing recording their life as they go with medication, as in like using video or audio. So I decided I would do it myself, and then I created Justin's HIV journal.
Okay, and I was noticing that you did create a journal, and that journal, what is it, following your life from day to day, or?
Well, if day to day, I wish I had enough time, but no. Basically, what I wanted to do with it was to kind of inform people, like, if you are HIV positive, here's many things that you might have to go through. You might have night sweats, as a symptom. You might, need to go get tested. You should go get tested every 3 months. I mean, that's what my opinion is. But I also wanted to show that life doesn't stop. You have to keep going. You have to be strong enough and have enough self-esteem to actually say, you're not going to die. You need to just keep going and live your life, but also protect other people and also protect yourself from other things.
Right, because right now, as doing research, that if you didn't know, Washington, D.C. has the highest rate of HIV and AIDS in the country.
Yes.
And that's sad because it's 1 in every 20 in Washington, D.C. that has it.
Right.
And you being able to speak out and share your story, have people looked at you any differently than before, because now you're living with a disease that, people always say that only gay people have?
Yeah, the biggest challenge with HIV, I think, at least in my opinion, is stigma that comes along with it. A lot of people that are HIV positive are looked down upon. They're looked at as bad people, and no, we're not bad people. We made a few mistakes, to be infected with HIV, but please don't kill us for that. It's really sad when I see that, and also being treated differently. I think a lot of people have come up to me and asked me, where I got the strength to do this, and so it's been a benefit to a lot of people saying, thank you so much for doing this. You really put it out there, you made it raw, and you made us think, twice about what we're doing. So I've, gotten a positive feedback. There's also been negative feedback, but, I kind of ignore that.
Right, right. Did some more research on you.
Oh, God.
Angina from RuPaul's Drag Race,
yes.
Season 1.
Yes.
She has a show, because she came out on RuPaul's Drag Race about she was HIV positive.
Yes.
And she have a TV show now on Logo. And I noticed that you was one of her guests on the show. So how was that experience going to a national syndicated show and talking about you?
Oh my gosh. I had such a good time. Angina, when she, I'm an avid fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, and when she told her truth, told her tea, on TV like that, I was like, oh my gosh, she is such an inspiration. I just thought it was amazing, and to see her and meet her was such an honor, and it was just great talking with her.
Okay. And coming from that, for those viewers that don't know, it's a new urban network that's out now. You can see it online. It's glowtv.com. Mm-hmm. And Justin is going to be having his first TV show on there. So tell our viewers a little bit about that so they can tune in and check you out.
Well, what it is basically it's another thing about the journal, basically, but I will be going out on the street actually interviewing people about HIV and actually educating, and it's basically the same thing I do now. Like when I go to a university, I just got back from George Mason University and educated a lot of students about HIV and spoke there. It's basically the same thing, basically the same format as as my journal, excuse me. But yeah.
Okay, is there any information that you can give my viewers and my audience member about how to get in contact with you to ask you more information or find out information about what you're doing?
You can go to my website. It's www.justinbsmith.com. And actually there I will be posting, I just came out with a book called I Have a Secret. It's a children's book. And I have a very soft heart for children. And some of the proceeds from the book will be going to pediatric AIDS.
Okay, very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have it right here with Justin B. Terry-Smith talking about HIV and AIDS and him living with it, and his journal about letting you know how his life has been by living with this deadly disease. And before you go, one thing you most admire about Shi Queeta Lee?
Your consistency. You have been so consistent. I remember when I first met you, it was years ago. And I must have been, well, I won't say my age, but it was years ago.
It's okay, I'm 46 and I'm loving it.
I met you, and you were one of the first drag queens I'd ever met face to face. And you had your arms out and you held me and you gave me a hug. And you said, I like you. I think you'll do things. You'll do some good things in the community. And here we are now together.
Yeah, see what faith can do.
Yes.
Bring us together. And also, I forgot this little bit. You was also Mr. Leatherman.
Yes, I was Mr. Maryland Leather 2010, and that was my title. I just gave up my title in November of 2010.
Okay. And there you have it, guys. Living with Justin Journal. So, thank you so much for coming out to Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And much success to you in your career.
Thank you.
We just had an awesome interview with the one and only Justin B. Terry-Smith talking about HIV and AIDS. And he has a journal, so make sure you follow his life story on Glow TV Network coming up real soon to a website near you. All right, let's get down to business. Our next guest that we have today is a young individual, a transgender woman who does a lot for the community, and she's going to talk about what she does for the community and how she can help other transgender women in our community. Let's welcome the one and only talents of Miss SaVanna Wanzer. Okay, hi SaVanna, how are you today?
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. Before we get started with Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee, let's get you some tea to quench your thirst.
Thank you.
Can I have some tea, please, SaVanna?
Thank you, Chris. Let's share this tea. Let's share this tea together. Come up a little bit so we can get the raindrops from this tea.
Okay.
Refreshing.
Thank you so much for joining us today, SaVanna. How are you, girl?
Wonderful.
Great, great. Thank you so much for coming out. So, let everybody know, who is SaVanna?
Well, SaVanna is an outgoing person, full-figured, beautiful, sexy soul.
Ooh. Well, all right then.
Fun-loving,
Forget those
activist,
skinny girls.
activists that represent two communities, people living with HIV and AIDS and transgender people loving and understanding themselves more. So what I do, basically, I'm a board member at Whitman Walker Clinic, and transgender community is not accepted in every facility within DC to be tested for HIV and AIDS. And once they are diagnosed, the doctors do not know how to address an individual. And also, we have a transgender clinic, the only one in DC that allow us to get our hormone therapy legally.
Okay. Now, I noticed that you're saying legally, because there are a lot of transgender people who go out and they want to become, you know, going through the transition and the transformation of things, and they do it under the table. So now we have
a clinic
that can offer that.
Yes. And then what we do at the clinic is take blood tests to see what hormone fits your body and what needs to be worked with you becoming male to female or female to male.
So let our viewers know, what do you mean by hormones? What are hormones?
Hormones is an injection or pill that you take, and it changes your body. For a woman, it will change your body fat cells to your breast or your hip areas, and for a man, it will make you more masculine or hard.
Okay. Now, you're considered as a transsexual or
transgender individual.
Transgender individual.
Yes, I fall under the umbrella of being transgendered, trans queer, transsexual, trans inquisitive.
That must be me, trans inquisitive.
Or drag queen. All of us are under the same umbrella.
Okay. So it's all go about how you want to label yourself, or what
yes,
you
it's
want
how
to
you want to label yourself and how I'm trying to match my soul to match my outside to match my soul, which I never felt as if I was confused or know that God made a mistake. He didn't make a mistake, he just gave me knowledge later on to correct how I wanted to look.
So how long have you been living your life as a transgender woman?
As a woman, I've lived my life for 11 years, 24/7. I started out as going out on the weekends and sneaking around. Then I went to San Francisco to one of their prides, and then it just opened and changed my life, that I said that I'm not going to come to DC and be half man and half woman. So I donated all of my clothes to a food bank and just lived my life as a woman from there on. But there were so many other things that I had to do in the process. First is learning how to love myself as an individual, and then I had to weigh out the factors that my family does not support my decisions. So I wanted to be happy, and I didn't want to be a pleaser. So I'm no longer united with my family, but throughout my journeys, I found other people who have accepted me and loved SaVanna for SaVanna.
And I love you for being SaVanna.
Well, thank you.
And for my viewers out there and my audience guests, just to let you guys know, in the gay community, we have groups of people and friends that we call our families when your own family don't accept you for being who you are or your lifestyle of how you want to live from day to day. Like SaVanna was stating that her family is not accepting of her, but I went through the position of my family accepting me for who I was and what I wanted to do. So I'm grateful. I am one out of many individuals who live in America that their families accept them for what they do and who they are. And by my parents being deceased now, I really don't care who knows or what goes on with me in my life, as long as I know I love myself. And I applaud you for being able to come on this TV show and share your story, and let maybe by you sharing your story has helped someone else who's afraid to come out that closet or be who they want to be. And, you know, there's a loving place for everyone. And also, you talked about Whitman Walker. Where is Whitman Walker located, and how can is there a website that my viewers and audience members can look into to find out more about how they can get help of being a transgendered individual?
Yes, Whitman Walker can be located on the computer. It's wwc.org. And there it'll be a list of services from mental health, nutritionists, HIV and AIDS testing, and care for HIV. And then we have a list of support groups and community events that if you want to be a part of it. Because what keeps any clinic or anything running is volunteers, and we're always accepting volunteers for the AIDS Walk, our galas, Art for Life, and a list of things.
And speaking of list of things you're talking about, you're having a big event that's going to come up this summer that you're a part of. So share us on what's going on.
In 2007, I created this event, which is called Trans Pride, and we represent all the transgender community all over Washington, Maryland, Virginia, New York, Philadelphia, anywhere in the district. And everyone comes to speak to other powerful people that help out their communities. And also it teaches you safely using drugs, sexual reassignment surgeries, and mental health, because being transgender, you have to go through therapy along with your medicines, because you will really go crazy if you don't use those as a combination.
And also, just to let you know, I'm saying it to my viewers and my audience members, as being Shi Queeta Lee and being part of the transgender community, I don't really consider myself as being transgender. I consider myself as a female performer. But I have an event that I do at Nelly's Sports Bars, drag brunch and also drag bingo. And one of my nights of bingo, I'm going to donate my income for your project so you can have funding for your event that's coming up. And we're going to raise money that night for the event. And also we're going to do testing with her HIV and AIDS van with the swab. It's very safe. It's very, you can talk more about it.
Yes, it's a 20-minute test, and you just swab the inside of your mouth, and then 20 minutes you'll get your diagnosis.
And we're going to do that one night at Nelly's Sports Bar at Drag Bingo. And when you get your swab test, bingo! Do you know your status? Well, you should come to Nelly's Drag Bingo on the night we give an event for the Trans Pod with SaVanna Wanzer.
And if anyone would like to make a donation, it's dccapitalpride.org. And we have a link that leads to DC Trans Pride to make any donations that anyone else would like to donate.
Okay, thank you so much, SaVanna, for being here today with Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee. I think you have enlightened us on quite a bit that we need to know about in the transgender community. And also, before you leave, one thing you most admire about Shi Queeta Lee?
I believe that would be your warmth and your genuineness within every community. And I appreciate and thank you for accepting the transgender community to show each and every other person that we are human and we are individuals. And thank you.
And thank you so much for being here. I'm living with it. Is there a cure? Our guest today has inspired me, and I hope they have inspired you in some way or able to help you in any type of way. I want to thank Miss Tamika Felder for coming in today talking about cervical cancer. Miss Diamond Alexis Blue coming in talking about legally blind glaucoma. Mr. Justin B. Terry-Smith for coming in and talking about HIV and AIDS, and Ryan Dillon coming in and talking about epilepsy. I want to thank them so much for coming in today. And then we had the warm talents of Miss SaVanna, who talked about the transgender and what she can do for the community, or what she has done for the community, and how HIV and AIDS and Whitman Walker Clinic and hormones and all that type of stuff we have learned today. It's been a really blessing. And I'm sure they have helped someone in some form or fashion. But before we leave today, we're going to have a couple of questions from our audience to see if they have anything they would like to share with these lovely individuals on stage. Let's take it to the audience. Okay, we have a question over here. What's your name, sir?
Kuji.
And Kuji, what question do you have for my panelists today?
I have one for Ryan and one for Justin and Alexis, if that's possible.
Wow, he wants to ask all three of y'all questions. Well, let's go for it.
Ryan, I wanted to know, are you ever afraid of being alone with respect to epilepsy? And Justin, I wanted to know, how does your peers, people outside of the gay community, receive you with being open about your status? And Miss Alexis, I wanted to know, how do you feel in regards to coming back, performing, knowing that you barely can see? Is there any insecurities or fears being on stage?
Okay, Ryan, you first.
It's a very good question. There's always the fear of being alone, but you have to come to the realization that someone can't be with you all the time. And so a seizure can happen to anyone, anytime, anywhere. So, you know, everyone's always alone at some point in their life. What I can do is prepare those around me if I were to have a seizure in terms of first aid and awareness. So I've taken the approach of, okay, I will be alone at some point in my life, but what I can do is prepare those around me for when I'm not alone.
Okay, and Justin?
At first, it was not taken well. A lot of people said, what are you doing? Why are you being so open like this? And especially on YouTube, of all places, why would you do that? And then when I started educating people on HIV and I actually had something to say, they listened. And when my family decided to have my back and support me, and my friends as well, a lot of other people did the same. So it's been incredible.
Okay, and Diamond?
For me, it's just a little bit of knowing my limits. Some risk I can't take on stage, but I try to push the envelope as much as I possibly can.
All right, we have another question over here from our audience member. What's your name and where are you from? Can you stand up for me, please?
I'm Ron. I'm from D.C. This question actually is specifically for Diamond. You didn't really express too much during your interview how the feeling of finding out that you had glaucoma and the things that you do to try to, I guess, make your way around areas that you're not familiar with.
Well, when I did find out in 2004, it was very heart-wrenching. Like I said, everything stopped to a screech. I had to step back, look at my situation, and decide what course of action I wanted to take. And that started in 2007 after a lot of crying, a lot of breaking stuff and screaming, and basically being a nasty old you-know-what to everybody around me, and I do apologize to them. But they have supported me, my friends, my family, and everything. And in 2007, I went to CLB, which they got me reacclimated with life as far as using the computer, orientation and mobility, independent living skills, and things of that nature. And now I get around pretty well. I live on my own, by myself, cook for myself. No, I don't burn myself. But it took a little minute to get me to where I am today. So, yes.
All right, we got one more question over here. What's your name and what's your question?
My name is Carrie, and I just wanted to see if you could talk a little bit more about stigma. And it seems like a couple people mentioned stigma and how that's impacted their experience having the disease. And as you've all of you speak out about it now, and have things started to get better in that arena as you've grown comfortable with it, or as time has gone by and the people around you have become more knowledgeable.
I can speak to that. Like I mentioned, there's a negative stigma and connotation with epilepsy. But for myself, I'm a strong-natured person, and I've accepted it. And my mentality is I'm comfortable with epilepsy and the condition I live with. If someone else isn't comfortable with it, there's nothing more I can do. And so what I've really wanted to do is reach out to young people and let them know I've accepted myself and living with epilepsy, and you can do exactly the same thing. Because unfortunately, not everyone is as strong-natured as I am, and so they need to know that they're not alone, that someone, maybe I'm a little older, but someone young living with epilepsy can live a normal life, and so it's important to get them in that mentality of living their life on a normal basis.
Yeah, for me, it's taken time, because people can be mean and cruel, and even those that are closest to you. But thankfully, I'm the same way. I'm a strong individual, and I've learned to, I own it. I put it out there before anybody else can judge me. It doesn't mean people don't still say hurtful things, because things still hurt, but I know how to deal with them better.
Also, I want to bring up back Miss SaVanna, who talked about transgender women. Thanking her so much for coming out, being a part of my show today. And my one and only Miss Teapot herself. Come on up, Miss Janaya. And this is our edition of Spill the Tea with Shi Queeta Lee. And I want to thank everybody for coming out. Also want to thank you, my audience guests, and my viewers for tuning in. Tune in next week when we go to the streets and we find out more about what's happening in the DMV when we interview the DMV professionals. This is Spill the Tea. I'm Shi Queeta Lee, and I'm signing off. Good night.